Well, hello there, and welcome once again to the Smart Money, Dumb Money Show. And I'm your host, Keith Richards. I'm the president and chief portfolio manager at Valuetron Wealth Management. And today we are going to be looking at international markets. And what we're looking for are charts that are under one of two categories: charts that are either breaking out from levels of consolidation to all new highs, or charts that have been basing and look like they'll either be breaking out soon, I hope, or are already breaking out and showing potential that could lead into gigantic base breakout potentials. So let's get right into it, because these days we want to start looking at international markets a little closer, given how overbought many of the markets, both internationally and here in North America, are. There are still some gems out there. There are still some opportunities. So we want to look at those opportunities and be prepared that should they break out or should they show signs of emerging from bases, to jump in on those trades. So we'll get right to it, and I will share my screen. Enough small talk, as they say. So what we're looking at here is, and I'm going to just enlarge the screen. Oops. This is the Hong Kong chart. And what you are seeing here, and I pardon my moving the screen around here, but this is one of the candidates for large breakouts past old lids of resistance. So this is Hong Kong, and as you can see that this is the ETF, the Hong Kong ETF. I believe the ticker is EWH, and there is some form of a lid around $25 a share, really going back to 2018, somewhere in the mid 20s. This ETF could not break out. Look what's happened. It's broken out. It may be a little bit overbought. That's the 200-day moving average, and it is a good probably 15% or 20% above that moving average. But the big breakouts like this usually result in further upside potential over time. So this is one of those charts that looks pretty good, even if you wish to wait to see if it maybe evolves into a bit of a pullback and thus an opportunity. Here's another breakout candidate, and this one is Italy. Okay, Italy was in the news a good decade ago. One of the I think they used to call them the figs or something. The Portugal, Hungary, Italy, Greece, etc., Spain. So these were countries that were financially in crisis. They obviously their markets were under duress during that period of time, which would have been around here. But now you can see that the Italian stock market has broken out from that lid that really had contained it again since 2018. And it's very bullish when this kind of thing happens. Again, it's a little overbought. There's your 200-day moving average. The ETF itself, which represents their index, is quite a bit above that. That speaks to a potential of a pullback to that average. You can see that usually when this kind of thing happens, like here, for example, when the market was quite a bit above the moving average, it corrects itself, either going sideways or in some cases like here, a literal downside correction. This kind of thing happens, but in an opportunity where you get a giant breakout like this, usually any kind of a pullback, as long as it doesn't break the old neckline of the pullback, can be very bullish. So again, it's one to keep an eye on, not necessarily to buy today, but it's definitely a very interesting and possibly bullish looking chart. So the next one is Belgium. And as a cyclist and a bicycle racer myself, I'm aware of the racing scene in Belgium. They're very famous for what's called cyclocross bicycle racing. They're a tough group of people in Belgium. They have the ability to withstand very nasty weather and race hard, and it's a kind of hard group of people. They're tough people. So their stock market shows that it's broken out in a hardy kind of way. It's broken its old highs again since 2018, not able to break, somewhere in the low 20s. And now we're seeing very positive movement. Same situation as the other two, well above the 200-day moving average. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a pullback. But when you get a breakout through old resistance, that usually implies the future is to see more upside. So these are stocks that to me look bullish from a breakout perspective. Now I want to look now at a few individual countries ETFs that are perhaps not at that breakout point, but are forming bases. And if anybody has read my book Sideways, I talk about the 4 phases of a market, and one of them is a base, and then the next is a breakout into an uptrend. Typically, when you get a base breakout, you have lots and lots of upside to at least the old resistance points. So we're looking at Malaysia right now. It could be argued that that would be some sort of a head and shoulders formation. Maybe not. I really don't get tied up in the names of what bottom formations are, but there's no doubt about it. There's been a bit of a base going on. It's kind of got a slant to the right, so it's been a bit of a negative base. But if this base can break and you see somewhere around $30 on this index ETF, you could be looking at, the mid 30s again and maybe more. So one could leg in a little at a time if it does start to break even the high 20s where it is right now. So it's an interesting candidate to watch, not necessarily one to buy today because it has not broken out. Whereas this chart, which is Spain, has broken out. So look at that base. There's your correction back in March of 20, and then sideways and breakout. So again, very, very bullish. This implies a target to the old highs somewhere in the low 30s. It's at around 29 now, maybe 10% upside. But if that gets taken out, like some of the other indices that we were just looking at, could be a long way to go. So it's an interesting looking chart for people that like base breakouts. And I do like base breakouts, I must admit. Here's another one. It's Brazil. Now, I will disclose that we own this ETF at Value Trend in our equity and our aggressive platform. Brazil's had all kinds of COVID problems, but with problems come opportunities because COVID's not going to be around for the next 100 years. I would suspect that everybody's going to be vaccinated across the world to a point where it's at least controlled, and that should spell opportunity for countries like Brazil, who are producers of commodities. So if you believe, as I do, in the inflation trade, which is not necessarily a short-term situation, but over the next 1 or 2 years, Brazil's a major producer, and that's why we own this ETF. You can see it is making higher lows and higher highs. It's a pretty good little chart, and it recently broke out of a little base here. You can see there is the lid. It touched, that's the neckline touch, tested, and is successfully bouncing off. To me, this targets somewhere around the low 40s. So we like Brazil for both fundamental and technical reasons, and we do own it right now. Finally, Hong Kong. Now, sorry, I've already covered Hong Kong, so I guess I don't need to cover Hong Kong again. So that is the list today. And I'm going to go back to screen share so you can look at my pretty face. On May 12th, which is next week, I am entering into a Canadian Society of Technical Analysts debate, so to speak, with my friend Brooke Thackeray. Now, you don't usually debate with your friends, but it'll be a good debate because Brooke is a seasonal expert, and I tend to focus on traditional technicals, which we both do, but I have a slant towards sentiment trading, as many of you might be aware. So Brooke and I will be debating some of the sectors that he likes versus the sectors I like. Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we may not, but it will be a very good, I think, educational event. And normally the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts does not let you participate in these events unless you're a member. However, I'm going to be providing a link on my website where if you're not a member, you can participate in this event, I believe as a one-time guest. And I'm going to leave it to the CSTA to give you details on that, but that's the way I understand it. If I'm wrong, call me wrong. But I do believe that you will be able to get access to the event. And it's at 7 o'clock May 12th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you can visit us. It will be a Zoom, so you'll be able to see Brooke, you'll be able to see me, and we will be flashing back and forth between our charts on the share screen. So it should be interesting because we have two different perspectives, and it's two different specialties, which I think is going to be a fun debate. I'm actually really looking forward to this, and Brooke is a very meticulous analyst. He's a very smart guy, so I'm really excited about being on a program with him. So I hope you can take the time to see that. And until then, we will see you again, hopefully on the 12th, and if not, on next video next Friday. Thank you very much.